tea from the Tupelo Tea Company in Blue Ridge, Georgia, and I just ordered a bunch of tea. I was drifting off to sleep in my bed, and so I wasn't entirely sure which ones I had picked because I was almost in like a fugue state as I was ordering this tea.
Yeah.
The one I am drinking tonight is Golden Potion.
Oh, Golden Potion. Interesting.
It's like ginger, turmeric, that sort of thing. It's supposed to be good for digestion and aches and pains.
Curry?
Well, no, I mean curry is made with turmeric.
Oh,
it's not like
you're right.
Yeah, it's not like curry. I can tell you exactly what's in it. Hang on.
Pollen?
It looks a bit like pollen, yes. It's not pollen, but it looks like it. Let's see. It's actually turmeric, cinnamon, ginger, black pepper, turmeric root, and turmeric powder.
Okay.
Golden Potion.
All right.
So
and is it good?
I'm drinking. I like it. I like a good earthy tea, though. I mean, I put lots of honey. I put like a shitload of honey in it. So. But it's, it's got a good spicy flavor. You might like it. I know you're not a tea person, but you do like curry. So you might like the flavor.
Would I like to drink curry?
Would you?
I mean, I like to drink tikka masala sauce.
Like the sauce.
The sauce.
Like the actual sauce.
I don't actually drink it. I'm joking. But,
okay. I was going to say, 'cause that's, I mean, I'm not going to judge, but it's a bit gross.
But I do put a lot of sauce on things.
I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah.
What is a meal without sauce?
It's no meal I want to be a part of.
Welcome to the Georgia Made podcast. Podcast that is not about sauces.
It's not.
But
or tea.
But could be in another dimension. In the upside down, it could be.
Okay, in the upside down.
A podcast about sauces. I'm one of your hosts, Nicole.
I am another host, Sarah.
So today on the Georgia Made podcast, we're still talking about Stranger Things 3.
Dun, dun, dun.
In fact, we just rewatched the very end.
Yes.
Of the last episode, so we could kind of jog our collective memories.
And that's the only part we will discuss today.
That's it. We're going to discuss that for 2 episodes, so strap in. Just kidding. We're going to start with episode 5 and work our way through. But before that, I thought we could do a little post brief, a little debrief. Is that what it's called?
A debrief of
the 1 Minute Playfest.
Oh yeah,
because we just finished doing the 1 Minute Playfest.
Yes, the 8th Atlanta annual 1 Minute Play Festival.
That's right, at Actors Express.
So that means it's been here 8 years.
That's true.
They've had 9 shows.
That's right, because there was 1 year where we did the Christmas show.
Holiday.
You're right. I'm sorry, the holiday show. And there were like lots of plays in there that were not about Christmas.
Yes.
And I just remember all the decorations.
Yeah. I mean, that was actually the one show that I acted in.
That was the only one you did?
That was the only show I acted in, yeah.
That was a fun show.
It was fun.
I enjoyed that. It was fun to do, like...
I loved pronouncing China.
China. Yes,
I played a mom character.
And again, and that was that was the impersonation of how Donald Trump says China.
Yes. That was not my racist
it was an impersonation of Rumps. Sorry, Freudian slip. That was Trump's
that's how he pronounces
nonsense
it. Yeah.
Pronunciation of China. So we did the 1 Minute Playfest. Mm-hmm. It was a 2-day event recently. How long has it been? It's been like a week, right?
Yeah.
Like 2 weeks?
I think a week.
How long? A week?
A week.
Oh, yes, because this time last week we were actually doing the show.
Actually, yeah, it would have been like the show like right now. Or like right before.
Like right now. Like maybe we are at the show right now.
Okay. This is from the show, live.
It's the quietest theatrical production in existence.
Yes.
So what do you want to say about it? Anything do you want to reflect on?
Yeah. So like Nicole and I have been writing for the festival for the past few years.
Mm-hmm. But since I think I've been involved since the 3rd year, maybe.
Yeah, and I've been
Yeah.
involved since the 5th year, I believe.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And this year was the first year I was asked to direct, and that was very fun. I had a great experience. And it was definitely a different kind of experience in the past because, like, I did act in that one show, and that was a different experience. But, like,
Sure.
as a playwright, you show up to some rehearsals, but you, like, mainly just sit and watch the show.
Sure. I mean, it's definitely not as involved as like being in part of the rehearsal. I mean, you're certainly invited to participate in the rehearsal process as a playwright, and I have on many occasions, which is nice. You get a chance to go meet new people and see what they're doing with your work, and generally they'll ask you questions. I mean, I think it kind of depends on the director's process, like how involved you are in that. But it's always been a positive experience for me to do that. The last couple years, because I've been acting in the show as well, and so. Fortunately for me in my schedule, my play has been given to the clump that I'm in, so I am already at rehearsal.
Yeah.
Which is cool because then I get to be a part of the making of that play.
Yeah, and the playwrights that wrote the plays that I was assigned, they were all so great and so, like, nice, and some of them came to rehearsals, but all of them were very responsive via email, and it was just, like, a great experience working with them and working with the actors. My actors were really enthusiastic. So, like, yeah, I had a great time.
Yeah, I did too. I was in, Brandon Mitchell directed my clump. Brandon Mitchell, who was a guest on the Feminine Mistake podcast.
Yes.
He was a guest on the 3rd season in the Suspiria episode.
Oh, right.
And has been in a lot of our live sketch shows.
Yes.
And,
oh, my gosh. He
yeah.
wrote that shark sketch.
God.
Not that anyone who listening would know,
Well,
know what I'm talking about.
Probably not. But if you...
I am the shark.
You won't see me. Brandon wrote a sketch that was called Jaws the Musical. And it was like...
So funny.
It was basically one of those like commercials for a musical where there's like a bunch of songs from the musical. And it was pretty great.
And he wore a shark fin.
He did. He wore a shark fin
I
on his
love
head.
that so much. I was like, I wish I had been involved in that. That was so fun.
I love that one so much. Yeah, so I was in Brandon's clump. That was really fun. Laura Myers was also in my clump. There were some new folks in there, and so I got to meet some new people.
Yeah.
One of the things I love about doing the festival is the tech day, where you go and you spend all day there teching the show, and then you get to see everybody else's plays for the first time because you've been off doing your own play. And again, for those of you that don't know, the 1 Minute Play Festival is like a national piece of work that travels from city to city, and each city, a group of playwrights in that city write 1 minute plays, and those plays are all kind of collected and then distributed into these groups. Basically, there were 60 playwrights from Atlanta. There were 10 directors, so each director got about 6 plays. You've got a collection of, say, 5 to 8 actors in each clump, as they're called. And so then on the tech day, you get to go and see what everybody else has been up to as you've all been off rehearsing your plays.
It's always fun to see that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was good to it's good to be with your community. It's good to be with your community in a very uncertain political and time and certain time for humanity. There's lots of scary things happening, violence and dissent, and not kind of good dissent. This dissent that makes you feel like you can't sit down with your neighbor and talk about things because you just can't see eye to eye on anything. But so to be with your community, talking about some of these issues in a real, compassionate, and human way it feels good. Feels good to be a part of that. And I think that's what I love about the festival the most. So I hope that whoever came and saw the plays also felt that.
Sorry, I think I just realized what my theme was.
Oh, yeah? We had been trying to figure it out.
The rest of the clumps all had something
well, they all have
dark
themes,
about them, but my clump was very light.
So maybe yours was about
mine
hope?
Was hope.
Well, I definitely think, your play that you wrote was about hope. And that was in Melissa's clump.
That's true. But that was also about the end of the world, and her clump was about the end of the world.
That's right. That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there was usually once you see all the plays together, there's kind of like, you can kind of see some like themes popping up. And I definitely, I feel like
there was like a healthcare, there was like
a lot of plays about healthcare.
Abortion one, there was politics, like yours was.
Yeah, ours was kind of about bureaucracy and politics. And again, these are all like plays written by 60 playwrights, and we're not given any prompts. We're just told to write about something that feels like it could only happen in this time, in this community. And people go off and not really communicating with each other about what they're going to write. Everybody kind of comes up with these things, and you find people's themes and ideas kind of grouping together, and that's how they're kind of distributed to each other.
I think of it as like the collective unconscious. Like we're all thinking about the same things.
Yes.
We're all aware of the same issues, and we tend to write in,
Absolutely.
I'm curious if there's like, let's say there were like 14 plays about abortion, because that happened like right around the time when we were supposed to write. What would they have done with that?
Well, there was one year where there were a lot of plays about gun violence and gun control, and they divided it up into 2 different clumps. There were just so many of them. Yeah. I mean, I don't think they turned plays away and say too many people have written about this. It's just that's what people are feeling in that moment. So shout out to Dominic and Caitlin at the 1 Minute Play Festival. If you are, hey, one might be coming to your town. So if you want to keep up to date with what they are doing, of course, you can find them on Facebook, the 1 Minute Play Festival. That's 1ONE. And on Instagram at 1 Minute Play Festival, of course, spelling out the 1ONE. And, or just one of the many hashtags, hashtag 1MPF, but with like a one, numeral one. The number one.
Yeah.
Hashtag number 1MPF.
Yes.
It's a really great event. So, and they do them all over the country. So check them out.
Yes,
see if they're doing one of these in your town.
Yeah.
So what have you been watching, Sarah?
I've been watching a lot of things.
Yeah. Seems like you've been going to the movies a lot.
Yeah, I saw the end of Big Little Lies, which we talked about last time. Yes.
Were you satisfied with the ending?
It was weird. It didn't have a satisfactory ending. It just kind of like continued. Like you want to get into like the next season, but it didn't. There was no like.
It didn't wrap it up.
It didn't wrap. It didn't wrap it up enough. I was like, is there a scene after this? Like, what happens?
Is there
next?
a post-credit scene where they're all eating shawarma somewhere? Maybe.
No, I mean, I love that show, and I understand why they did what they did, and I don't know if there's going to be a season 3. I don't know what else there is left to say.
Well, I haven't watched it, so I don't know.
Just you have to see it. It's so good. So good. Definitely. It's not a letdown. It's just like it artistically makes sense. It just isn't like
I don't like it when things don't get wrapped up, though. I get so mad.
Yeah, I know, but the
like
way
at least wrap it up for this story so you can continue on.
The way the first season ends is we're worth it, and then the season 2 is excellent.
Well, I think I already know what happens at the end of season 1 because I've probably been spoiled on it at this point.
But
you don't still see dramatically
the
satisfying.
Ramp up to it is what makes it so satisfying.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough about Big Little Lies. I've also seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which you haven't seen.
Which we can't talk about because I haven't seen it, and I don't want to know anything. I don't want to know anything about it.
It's directed by Quentin Tarantino.
I do know that. I've seen the trailers.
That's all you need to know.
I just like I've heard from I've seen a few memes accidentally. Apparently, his foot fetish is just out of control in this film.
Out of fucking control. Does he have a foot fetish?
Oh, yeah. Like, if you watch some of his other films, it's like Uma Thurman's feet specifically, he seems to be obsessed with. Oh, my gosh.
No, it was so funny. I almost turned next to the person I was with and was like, what's up with all the feet? Like, there's so many feet.
Yeah, he loves feet. And what a better time to look at feet than in the hippie era where everybody was literally barefoot all the time, I guess.
But there are also lots of feet with shoes, too.
Oh, good. So it's shoes and bare feet.
Men's feet, women's feet. Every kind of foot.
So it should really be called
Once Upon a Time in Foot Down. Just kidding.
Foot Down. Foottown, USA.
Anyway,
so we're not going to talk about that.
No, we're not going to talk about it.
Maybe a future episode.
Yes.
Because I'm definitely going to watch it.
Yes.
I just haven't gotten to the movies to see it. But there's something else you watched, which I've kind of decided I probably won't see.
Yeah,
so I'm like fine with being spoiled on it.
For you.
So spoilers for this next one.
Midsommer.
Yeah.
Midsommar. Just so you
not
know,
spell everything from now on.
It's not correct.
Writer of Hereditary?
Ari Aster.
Yeah.
Yes. Genius man.
A genius man.
Genius man, yes.
I've heard a lot of mixed feelings about this
I
movie.
understand the mixed feelings because it is brutal. It is mostly in the daytime.
In the daytime, okay.
Because it's in Sweden, which is very in the north, and so like there's periods where it's just like day for most of the time.
So there's no nighttime in this movie.
There's a night-ish time, but there's still like some sun, or like it's like not completely dark. But it is just I can't. It's like unlike anything I've seen before. The gore is so real and so horrifying.
Oh,
it's like
so. What's specific? So this is spoiler territory.
So
Spoiler Town, USA.
Yes. So there's a scene where, and you can kind of see what's coming a bit. Like it works in its favor because it builds. You're like, oh my God.
So you like this movie?
Yes.
Because I've seen a lot of other people's responses be that was revolting. Why did I watch that?
It is revolting, but I like revolting things.
You like revolting things, okay.
And also it's smart.
Okay.
Like it's horribly revolting.
Smart revolting.
But it's smart.
Okay.
And basically there's a part where there are these two older people, and basically they jump off a cliff.
Okay.
To kill themselves because they've reached the end of their life cycle, and according to this culture, that's like once you reach a certain age.
Yeah, but how old are they?
70, I think.
Oh, you still got like 10 more years, maybe.
Yeah. And basically the scene leading up to it, they kind of like, I don't know. I guess you have to be perceptive, but I kind of was like, oh, they're gonna kill themselves, aren't they? I don't know. There's something like that. The way they acted, the way that everyone else acted. There was basically like a meal,
a final meal,
a final meal, and then they went up to the cliff and they just jumped off. And the gore of that, this film does not cut away. This film does not.
So you saw their smashed bodies?
Yes.
Gross.
And then the last guy didn't completely die when he first hit the ground, and they smashed his face in.
What?
Yeah.
No!
Yes. And they didn't cut away.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Look,
it was.
That's too much real for me. I love horror movies, but I grew up in the 80s, and I like a good exploding wax head that is not really real. You're like, that gore is that's not a real head.
Yeah.
I don't want to see a man's head really smashed in.
No, it's horrifying.
No.
And there's a part where the lead actress's boyfriend is given drugs to make him sleep with one of with one of the young women in the society, and basically he's in this cabin surrounded by all these naked women, and they're not women who have perfect bodies. They're all the different types of and they're swaying and singing, and he's kind of being I have to have sex with this person now, and it's it made everyone laugh, but it was also terrifying at the same time.
Sure.
And the lead actress saw him through a keyhole. I don't know, there's just
a lot of peeping.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's definitely gore and death besides
and all of that I feel I could handle. I just I've seen the trailer with the bear, and I feel the bear.
They don't show
bear,
you...
this bear, I just, in the trailer, this bear just opened, full chest cavity, bear autopsy.
That was just that one shot of that.
I know, but it's got to be worse than that, right? I don't know. I feel animals and kids, that's
not the bear. The bear was in one shot.
Okay.
I don't know why they included it in the trailer.
Is this bear like a big part of the movie?
No.
Okay.
I
don't want to see. I'm not a big fan of bear death.
Yeah, you don't.
I'm not
see,
a big.
You don't
I'm no.
see
I don't
the bear
love
die.
I don't love a bear death. If you know what I'm saying.
You don't see the bear die. But basically they drug
stressing me out.
So the main character, basically her story is that her sister has bipolar and
the main character.
The main character's sister has bipolar, and she kills herself and her parents.
Oh my God.
In the most horrible way.
Oh my God. Do they show that?
Yes.
Good Lord.
And I
can see how this is triggering.
Yeah.
For people.
And so, well, they don't show the actual death, but they show the bodies afterward.
Wait, so this woman has been through this woman has been through this awful experience, and then she goes. Her boyfriend has a friend, and their friend they take
group,
her to a cult.
It's a community in Sweden, and there are lots of them.
So it's a cult.
Like, it's not quite a cult. It's like a society. Like, it's like, you know.
I question his ability to nurture.
He has a horrible ability to nurture, and it turns out that this friend only got them to come to have them killed.
Oh, so it was like another honeypot situation.
Yeah. And but basically, there's this.
So this is very spoilery.
I
know we've said it already, but just so we're
spoiling the fuck out of this film.
Like we're Hansel and Gretel, and we're just leaving spoiler breadcrumbs behind us, you guys.
So there's a dance competition around a maypole, and whoever's the last one standing, last woman standing is the May Queen.
Okay.
I don't know, something like that. And you're like, oh shit, she's gonna get killed because she's the May Queen. But anyway, so this the main character wins, becomes May Queen, and basically her role is to choose the 9th person to be killed, and it's either someone from the community or a new person, like someone from her group, and she like deliberates, and then she chooses him, her boyfriend, to be killed.
Well, I mean, he seems like a real schmuck, so
yeah. So that
checks out. I feel
they give him drugs to paralyze him, and then they sew him inside the bear.
No.
And then they burn all the body. And they've done
they sew him alive inside the bear, paralyzed.
Paralyzed, yes. And then they put him.
So what is that supposed to mean? Like he's like an animal, or he's like trapped inside an animal?
Yeah.
Like we're all animals?
I don't know if
what the fuck does that mean?
Anything. It might not even mean.
We're all.
I don't know.
I don't know what that. God,
but
the smell must be unreal inside of that bear.
There are 8 others who were killed, half from the community, half of them new. And he had impregnated one of the girls, women. A woman there to keep the inbreeding from occurring. Like they always bring an outside person. And so the main character has not smiled.
I'm just going to take a thoughtful sip of my golden potion while we talk about this.
The main character has not smiled the entire film. Like the entire film, she's either been crying or screaming or
so the moment they burn her bear boyfriend,
the last shot, she's like,
this is fucking
there's
great.
Like a slow motion shot of her like slowly like she just feels free.
She feels free.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's a lot to unpack there.
It's intense, and it has like hallucinatory stuff too. That they do a lot of drugs.
Sure.
Wow.
How does Sweden feel about this movie? That's
what
I'd
I'm
like to
thinking.
know.
I actually have one of my friends is actually from Sweden. I haven't talked to her about this, but
I'd love to know what the Swedes think about this.
I've been to one of her events with like a maypole and some of these like.
And she's like, yeah, things. I mean, sure, we stuff people inside of bears. What's the big deal?
Yeah,
it's whatever.
Yeah,
No.
It's
don't be culturally insensitive about my traditions.
Yeah, and I'm just curious where our Ari Aster got the idea.
I'm joking. I'm sure this is not a real thing.
No,
or maybe
no,
it's
no,
like
no.
something he read or was inspired by some sort of like really old society. I'm sure there aren't real
old, like from the
Swedes
times
sewing
of the,
people into
of
bears.
the Vikings, like way
Well, I
back
can
in
tell
those
you
times.
what, I will not look at those little teddy bears inside of one of those claw machines the same way again.
Oh no. But the point is that
Just tiny white men just sewed inside of those bears.
my God. I was horrified by it. I enjoyed it because I am a sick, twisted person.
A little bit. Like I'm always a little surprised by your writing. There's a little bit. I feel like you could write something like this.
I could, yeah. But no, when I saw, like, there are very few films when I'm like, whoever wrote that is a genius. When his name popped up, I was like, who the fuck is that guy?
Yeah.
I want to know more about him. Because
So
I'm not just
he's a guy who has a fetish about being sewn inside of a bear.
describing it in a way that makes him seem as smart.
I mean,
but
it sounds like nothing I've ever seen before.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got me intrigued.
Yeah.
I don't think I want to watch a man.
See it.
You don't think I should see it? You know I'm into cults, though.
Yeah. I mean, but the gore is just too intense. And it's too, like, it's like...
I mean, I used to watch gory things.
It's not like something I've seen before. Okay. It's like they don't cut away. They like show everything.
I've seen some films like that. I would say the film Irreversible is brutal in that way. Not that I'd want to see that movie again, but I did watch it. I can handle things.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Midsommer.
Yes.
If you are looking for a light romp, check it out.
Yeah. Definitely.
A light Swedish romp.
I would recommend it to everyone, but everyone would not.
But not my mom.
Yeah, no. Oh, God.
Yeah, not my mom.
Not your mom. And not my mom.
What about your dad?
My dad would see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe not the moms.
Yeah.
Unless your mom's really fucking hardcore.
No, she is not.
No, I mean like
unless
other people's moms.
Someone else's mom is hardcore.
Because there are hardcore moms out there.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Who are into that sort of thing.
Yeah.
What is your name, sir?
Todd?
Todd?
Yeah.
Todd.
Todd.
Todd, listen to me. That man in there, I know he doesn't look it, but he is one of the most dangerous men in the world. He's murdered many children.
What?
Yeah, he's a true psychopath. I've tracked him over 2 state lines.
Hey, what's going on?
Detective Byers. This is Todd. He's agreed to lend us his vehicle to transport our dangerous criminal.
Oh, yes, he's very dangerous forger.
Yeah. Child murderer.
Child murderer.
We should really get going.
Hey, how do I get my card back?
You just call the station.
What station?
Ooh, I like the sound of that, Todd.
Hey, what station?
You're doing the right thing.
Shall we get to the main event?
Yes.
Stranger Things.
Yes.
We watched it. We watched it again. Whoa, I have my note. I'm trying to get back to my notes here. Because I did a very hasty rewatch this afternoon. Because we watched it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
We just couldn't wait.
Yeah, no.
Right after the last recording, we went home and watched 2 more episodes. And then I don't think we watched the last ones together. No, we didn't. We did not. So we haven't even really discussed the last. Well, we watched it a bit today. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, so Stranger Things. If you are just joining us, we have already talked about the first 4 episodes. So go back and check those out. There's 2 prior episodes where we discuss the first 4. And so I guess we're kicking it off with episode 5.
Yes.
The Flayed.
The Flayed. And those who are victims of the Mind Flayer.
That's right. So those people that have been overtaken and are now on a steady diet of Ajax and fertilizer. Yes. And I guess a little Freon as well. It looked like somebody was gnawing at a refrigerator, perhaps. So at the end of the sauna test, we discovered there's a whole group. How many people do you think are flayed? How many people have been taken over by the Mind Flayer?
100?
100? I mean, that would make sense given how big that goddamn thing is.
Yeah.
I believe, now, of course, they could be lying, but I believe the news report at the end of episode 8 says that 30 people died.
30. Okay.
So I guess 30, which, I think checks out with the number of people. But I feel like the Mind Flayer might have been a little lazy. I feel like they could have done a little bit. Maybe that's why they didn't, why it didn't win, spoiler alert. Obviously, if you're listening to this episode, there's going to be some Stranger Things spoilers.
So don't listen to this until you've watched it.
Or, I don't know your life. Maybe listen to it while watching it.
Or maybe you don't want to watch it all and you just want to listen to us bitch about it. Just kidding.
I don't really have a lot to bitch about, frankly. I enjoyed the hell out of the third season.
Yeah.
I know you said you were going to bring in some dissenting opinions from people you've spoken to.
Yes.
Who are obviously on the wrong side of history when it comes to the show, but I welcome their wrong opinions.
Okay.
Okay, so where to start with the flayed? Well, that episode starts with our... I'm just going to start calling them by their, CB handles that they have in the final episode. So Scoop's Troop. Scoop's Troop is in the elevator. And they're going down, and that's where the 6th episode begins.
The 5th episode?
The 5th episode begins. The 5th episode begins with them going down in the elevator, too. We don't really know where. We assume it's some sort of Russian lab. So anything to say? I guess we could sort of talk about that, about the Scoops Troop and their whole Russian adventure. You got anything?
Yeah, I like the dynamic of Steve and Robin and what is her name?
Dustin and Erica?
Erica, yes.
Erica's like the real MVP of this whole team. I feel like Dustin, honestly, Steve and Robin are kind of useless. Well, no, they all have their own moments, maybe. I'm just trying to think about how they get out. It's like Erica and Dustin seem like the brains behind the operation, if you know what I'm saying.
Definitely.
But Steve does he does knock out one of the guards as they're trying to.
And doesn't Dustin say, that's the first time you want to fight?
True. And then Steve promptly gets kidnapped. Well, not kidnapped, but him and Robin get captured, and Steve just gets beaten to a pulp in a way that I was like, damn. We have this is it's like every season they feel like they have to beat Steve more.
Yeah, poor Steve.
He really just gets just beat to shit every season.
And they have a sweet, I don't even know if that's in this episode, but they have a sweet scene where they're tied up to the chair and they kind of fall over, and then they're back to back and they say some nice things.
Well, so they get there. And they have to go on this long walk where they're trying to kind of figure out what they're doing down there. And I skipped through some of it, so I didn't watch the whole car. But at some point, Steve and Dustin begin to wonder if what's going on there might have anything to do with what was going on over at Hawkins' lab.
Yes.
Erica is very clear that if they do not get her home by tomorrow morning, she was supposed to sleep over at, I don't know, her friend Jamie's house or Allison's house or something. I am sleeping at my friend Jamie's house tonight, and Jamie always covers for me. But if I am not back home in the morning, my mom is going to kill all of you.
Yeah.
So they end up through a series of misadventures. They actually see the weapon, which we discover is being powered by that green Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff.
Yes.
And then they get chased by the Russians, and at that point Steve and Robin are holding the door, and Dustin and Eric are able to slip away, and that's how Steve and Robin end up getting captured.
Yeah.
So that's how they end up in the room.
Yes.
Well, Steve gets beaten up. So Steve gets beaten up, and then they bring in Robin, and she looks pretty good. So I'm always wondering, I wondered the same thing when I'm watching Empire Strikes Back. Not that I need to see a woman getting beaten up, but I always wonder what do they do what's going on in the other room? Are they just offering her a Coke? What is happening in the other room? Steve looks like shit, and Robin is maybe has a hair or two out of place. But I'm just saying, what is happening in that other room? That anyway,
true bad guys wouldn't give a shit if you're a man or a woman,
right?
Woman, yeah,
right. And it's not that I want to see Robin get punched in the face or anything. No. I'm just it seems a little uneven.
Yeah. And they give them drugs, don't Don't they like a truth serum?
Yeah, they never really say what it is, but I guess it's supposed to be some kind of truth serum or some kind of hallucinogen or something because it makes them very high.
Yes.
But yeah, they're tied to the chair. They're being questioned over and over again, asking Steve like, "Who do you work for?" And he's like, "I work for Scoops Ahoy."
I love the Russian playing the main guy who's like interrogating them. He's so fun.
You think
like,
so?
He just is really like. It's supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be fun.
Yeah,
like,
a little bit.
He's really
yeah.
like cartoon.
Otherwise, it would be like fucking scary.
Yeah,
because it is like a little intense down there.
Yeah.
They've got like torture devices and stuff out.
I think that's the main thing. This season is very fun. Where I think season 2 was more dark. Season 1 was more like E.T. adventure type stuff. This was more like.
Well, this one, and I've been listening to this. There's actually a Stranger Things podcast where they do a couple episodes where they talk about the behind the scenes, and it's very interesting. You can find it easily. It's just like God, what is it called? Something Into the Starcourt Mall, or I don't know. It's a podcast by Netflix. It won't be that hard for you to find. But they do a lot of interviews with people and stuff. And they said one of the things they wanted to introduce this season was like body horror, which is kind of like the monster, and we'll get into that in a second. And I really like noticed that a lot this time around as I was watching it. But also, I agree. Like I noticed like this season has a lot of humor, and like really good humor. I thought it's very funny, but in the right moments, which I think makes the moments that are sad or scary like more sad and more scary.
Yeah,
because you're laughing, you're having a good time. It's like you're always going to be more concerned about people that you connect with, and I feel like one of the ways we connect is humor.
Yes.
And so I really appreciated the use of humor in this season.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I liked the season the best.
Yeah.
But I heard from some of my coworkers and some other friends who think that it was the fun aspect of it made it worse.
Okay.
Like they preferred the darker.
So they're just thieves of joy.
Basically. Yeah. Yes.
What is not dark enough about this for them? It's way more violent. It's I feel like it's way more disgusting. And I think there is a dark heart to it. And I feel like I want to save that till we talk about towards the end. But I have like something I wanted to talk about. I feel like they're dancing around telling us what the upside down in the mind flare actually is. And the heart of it, I think, is something that's about darkness. The heart of darkness, if you will. All right. So Steve and Robin are getting tortured. Dustin and Erica are traveling through the events, and they're eventually going to come back around and spring them. I think I really want to dive right into that hospital scene. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
There are multiple hospital scenes. So which one are you talking about?
So the gang. Okay, so the gang is all over at Mike's, right?
Oh, the one with the politician who like tries to.
It's not the politician. It's the reporter guy. It's the boss guy.
Okay.
So they're all back at Mike's house, right?
Yeah.
And they've just everybody's been. They just got back from the sauna test, right? And they're kind of trying to figure out what to do. 11 has gone to check on Hopper, and we'll kind of get to what they're doing in a second. So the kids are basically like, they're like, the grownups are gone. We don't know what to do. Like, how do we deal with this? And
typical 80s kids.
How do we save the world?
Where are the grownups?
It's true. In the 80s, the grownups were never around. Everyone was latchkey kids. Where are Mike's parents? Who knows? We don't see them again until the carnival. I wish parenting were still like the 80s. I got to tell you, like, if I could just boot my kids out of the door every day, I would, and tell them not to come back until dinner time. I sure would. So then Jonathan and Nancy show up. So Nancy has just left Mrs. Driscoll, right?
Right.
Who is at the hospital.
And she's like shaking and has does she have black eyes?
Yeah, so that's what happened in the sauna test. Like so the kids kind of figure out like, okay, Will was connected to everything when he was flayed. Billy is flayed. And so as Billy is being heated up in the sauna, Mrs. Driscoll is also
Yes.
one of the flayed, and so she's connected. So they're now making the connection that there's not just one person who's been affected. There's more. There's two, so there's at least got to be more than that. So the kids are like, well, how do we figure out where they're all coming from?
Yeah.
And Will comes up with the idea that, like, if because Nancy had said that Miss Driscoll wanted to go back, right? That's what she kept saying, I want to go back. So he's like, well, if she wants to go back, why don't we just let her? And then we'll just follow her, which sounds like a perfectly safe way to come at this problem, right? Just follow the monster lady and see where she's going.
Yeah.
Seems like solid thinking. Anyway, so that's when they go to the hospital to see if Mrs. Driscoll's there, but she's not there, right? So Nancy and Jonathan go up to the hospital room, and now, first of all, when they get there, there's like lots of like alarm lights kind of blinking and some like paperwork on the ground. And like, I feel like they should have had some sense that something was wrong. And you can see them kind of like, that's weird. But I'm like, you guys need to arm yourselves with a scalpel or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is the hospital scene where they go in and they're being attacked by the monster.
Yes.
And it's quite a long scene. It goes on for a very long time. But like, it's great. Like, I remember it's very tense.
Yeah.
It seems like it's specifically going after Nancy.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't seem to care too much about Jonathan at all.
Yeah, no.
So they discover Mrs. Driscoll is missing. And then the big boss guys show up.
Yes, the from the paper. And they're flayed, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And then they like don't the kids kill them somehow? And then they like their goopiness comes to get together and forms a bigger.
Yes. So the boss, Heather's dad, who I can't remember, Bill. Maybe his name's Bill. I don't know.
Too many Bills.
There's so many Bills. So there's like the boss guy and then gross coworker guy.
Yeah.
Who is, oh God, what is his name? Gary Busey's son, who plays.
I don't know his name.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, that's Gary Busey's son.
Okay.
Anyway, both of them are there. They're, like, covered in blood. They've, like, been going around killing everyone on the floor.
Yeah.
Not really sure why. Like, it seems like maybe you could have gathered them up and had, like, a whole army of nurses, flayed nurses, if you wanted to. But sure, they're just going on a killing spree. But, yeah, like, they're beating the shit out of Jonathan.
Yeah.
And Nancy and Jonathan get separated. So there's this very long scene where they both get separated. Gary Busey's son is going after Nancy. Bad boss guy is beating up Jonathan. And then Nancy starts hitting Gary Busey's son with the fire extinguisher and smashing his face in. And that's when they kind of see that, like, whatever they're doing to one gets done to the other.
Yes.
And then Jonathan just, like, comes in with some scissors and just stabs him right in the throat.
Yeah.
And they melt.
Yeah. They goop.
It was fucking gross.
It's disgusting.
It is fucking gross. I like it.
And Nicole
it's gross.
threw up right next to me.
I did not. But I was eating some, what did we have for dinner?
Was it Chinese or
was
Indian
it Chinese? I don't know. We were eating something and I had to put my samosas down.
It was something besides saltines.
It was at that moment that I realized that eating during the show was probably not
good.
Not the best idea. This was not a season for eating. But yeah, so they like melt and then they kind of slowly gloop together down the hallway and like form into this giant monster.
This giant gloop.
The giant gloop monster. Mm-hmm. CEO of Gloop, Gwyneth Paltrow. And then Gwyneth Paltrow stepped out.
Did she?
Yeah, she stepped out and
of goop?
Of the goop and offered them a cucumber water because Nancy was sweating pretty bad at that point.
Why did she name a goop? I'm sorry, I'm so distracted. Like I don't understand why they named it goop.
There's a reason for it. I can't.
It's such a stupid name. I'm
remember.
so sorry.
I'm sure they did some market research. I don't. It's goop, right?
It's goop.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway.
Meanwhile, downstairs, all the kids are like hanging out in the waiting room.
Yeah. They don't know that this is going on.
No.
Yeah.
No.
What makes them see that it's going on?
Well, so here's my question. If Will can feel the monster, why didn't he know sooner?
Exactly.
Like, that was a little, I was like,
Yeah.
like, he feels the monster once it becomes the creature.
Yes.
And that's how they know the monster is there. Meanwhile, they've been down there, like, eating fucking M&Ms, and, like, Mike's trying to get stuff out of the vending machine, and he can, and 11, like, uses her mind powers to get everything out of the vending machine. And then him and, like, 11 are, like, trying to make up and stuff. But, yeah, no. Will's spidey sense is not that accurate. It seems,
it's not.
given that the monster was like literally right above his head.
And that was one of the complaints that someone I talked to had, was that in past seasons, Will had much more of a connection to the monster and had a lot more to do. And he felt that in this season, all that happened to him was he felt prickles on the back of his neck, and that was like the entire.
Well, I can see that complaint, but on the other hand, like, I feel like Will is just a victim all the time, and I feel like Will had the ability to fight back a little bit more, but you can still see that he's like a sensitive soul that like just is. He's not built for battle, if you know what I'm saying. But you know, maybe the monster didn't want him to know. Like, I feel like in the past, like, Will has been an instrument of the monster. Will is not an instrument of the monster anymore. I feel like the fact that he can feel when the monster is near is not advantageous to the monster, and perhaps the monster didn't want to be found.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe those guys were there just fucking killing people on their own. Like, maybe in their their flayed state, their violent tendencies came out more.
Yeah.
I mean, it would indicate to me that at the time that they were in the hospital fucking killing people, that they were not necessarily activated. Because didn't Will say that he could feel the monster when the monster was activated?
Yes.
So then, not that those guys are like who they really are. It's just like they're also kind of monsters. They've been made into monsters, but there's something inside of them that was also already kind of shitty and violent, and maybe they were acting out on those impulses just for recreational purposes until Nancy showed up. I mean, he says they were waiting for her. Maybe that was their job.
Yeah.
They said, we were hoping that you would come back.
Yeah.
So they knew she was going to come back, and they were waiting for her.
Yeah.
Which would make sense. If they're trying to get to 11, getting to Nancy would be a big step in that.
Yeah.
Because 11 would trust Nancy, especially if Nancy was able to get Mike. Mm-hmm. Then they really get to 11.
You're right. So Nancy would be smarter to get than Jonathan.
Yeah, they don't really. I don't think Jonathan would. I mean, Jonathan would be a good second place, but I think getting to Nancy and then getting to Mike would be their best bet at getting to 11.
Yeah.
Assuming that the monster knows all the ins and outs of the teenage relationships on the show. So anyway, so the monster becomes this big goopy revolt, and it was the transformation as the goop kind of comes together. It very much like The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah.
It kind of like bends and snaps into place and becomes this toothy little, and it's like our first real look at this fleshy, wet, toothy monster.
Yes.
But I love it. I love the design of this creature.
Yeah.
I have to say, I find it a lot scarier than the I keep calling it the smoke monster because it kind of reminds me of the smoke monster from Lost, which was also not that scary. But like this shadow creature, I feel like this fleshy monster thing is a lot more threatening.
Yeah.
So once Will knows that's when they come upstairs and 11 shows up, and like, I mean, the monster is like about to get Nancy. It's like she shuts the door, it like melts under the door, and the monster is just like on top of her, like yelling in her face.
Yeah.
And then 11 shows up and just fucks that monster up.
Yeah.
Like, she is
She's
powerful.
Strong. Yeah.
And she throws it out the window, and it escapes through like a drain in the street. And at that point, they decide to call back all the flayed. Call them back to create the super monster. Super. Thanks for asking.
When is the scene in Hopper's house where the monster comes in through the roof.
Okay, so that's a little bit later. That's in episode 7.
Oh, okay.
So I think so. Anything else to say about this hospital scene? Like, what did you think about the monster or like the whole? I mean, it was very actiony.
Intense. It was very actiony. Yeah. I think the scariest part for me was when, like, because the whole scene was building up to them like defeating these two guys, and they did, and you were like, yeah,
like they got him.
And then it's like, oh wait, no, they're just gonna turn into this monster, and then the monster's gonna escape. Like,
also, it's like just when you thought it could not get worse, like you're like, oh, finally, and it's like, oh, we have to contend with this thing.
Yeah. So how are we gonna kill this thing?
Yeah, like it seems impossible until 11 shows up and just. I mean, 11 is like.
But still,
you're not weapon.
You're not reassured because it's like, well, if two guys could create this thing and she just barely gets it out the door, like, what's that mean for the rest of
like the
town?
30 people, the 30 people that are like waiting to turn into goop by Gwyneth Paltrow. Okay, so I think they were Griswold family. That's Griswold family. That's the name of their group. That's their handle.
Griswold family
is all those guys. That's what they're called in the last episode when they're all on the CB radios.
Oh,
Jonathan, Nancy, Mike, 11. All those guys are Griswold family. Scoop's troop is like Dustin,
Erica, Robin, Steve.
Yes, and then the other group, who we haven't gotten to yet, is Bald Eagle and his crew. And that's Hopper and Joyce, who are in a completely different movie. Yes. They are in some kind of 80s action film, which I don't hate. I like it. It's nice to kind of get over, because what's going on with them seems to be a little more light and actiony. It's not quite as like emotionally intense.
Yeah.
So yeah, meanwhile, over in the Magnum PI spinoff.
Oh my God.
Have you seen, there's a video that was going around when this came out that I shared to my page that was like somebody took some scenes from Stranger Things of Hopper and like recut it as like a credit sequence to Magnum PI.
I didn't see
Oh my
that,
God.
no.
I think I watched that thing a dozen times. So meanwhile, over at Magnum PI. Last we left Joyce and Hopper, they were like searching all these abandoned properties.
Yeah.
And finally, they go to, I think, Hess Farm, and they go into Hess Farm, which I want to say is like nearby the place where the pumpkins were rotting last season. Okay. Maybe? I don't know. I feel like that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
So they go underground, and that's when they discover a secret lab down there, and Alexei is down there.
Right. Alexei, the Russian who is involved in the project but got out somehow, or they kidnapped him, or
he's down there in the lab working when they arrive.
He's working. Okay.
Yeah.
Do they kidnap him?
They rescue him. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
Hopper handcuffs him to his wrist, and so while they're down there, the Terminator shows up.
The Terminator. I mean, there's no one else the Terminator that this could be besides the Terminator.
I mean, he's technically in the world of the story, he's just like he's like the Russian strong arm guy who's like supposed to go around and kill people, basically. But I think it's basically like somebody put out an ad for somebody held an Arnold Schwarzenegger lookalike contest.
Yes.
I mean, the guy, like, down to the facial expressions, like, and the way he speaks, it's like they were like, no, don't like build a character. Like, we just want you to be the Terminator. That's it. Like, we just want you to be the Terminator.
Yes.
I would say if I had to pick something that was like my least favorite thing about the season, it would be this guy.
Yes.
I'm just like,
I agree.
I mean, it didn't take away from my experience of enjoying the show. And I certainly have nostalgia for the Terminator movies, but I felt like it was beyond an homage, if you know what I'm saying.
It single-handedly ruined the season for me. No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking.
I would say it was like a straight up just Terminator. We're just going to take the Terminator and we're going to drop him into this. It was
subtle.
Nothing subtle about it at all. So, but yeah, the Terminator shows up and is like trying to beat up Hopper and like shooting guns at them, and like they have to escape, and they've got Alexei handcuffed to Hopper's wrist.
Yeah.
And Alexei, like, is the scientist who's been working on this whole thing, right?
Yeah.
But he doesn't speak any English. So hilarity ensues.
Yes.
And Alexei has a real thing for Slurpees.
Yes, but very specific kind of Slurpees. Strawberry Slurpees.
No, he hates strawberry.
He hates strawberry. He likes raspberry.
Likes cherry.
No.
Yeah.
He likes cherry or he hates cherry?
I wrote it down. No cherry, no deal.
Okay.
So, Alexei, God, so much to say. Alexei's my favorite war criminal.
Yes.
I mean,
He's cute. He's adorable.
He's the most adorable war criminal I've ever seen. I mean, that's what he is.
Yes.
Like, he is a dangerous, evil scientist wrapped up in a cute little teddy bear. He's like, somebody took an evil scientist and sewed him inside of a teddy bear.
Oh. Call back.
Just bringing it back around. So they find themselves in the woods. The car gets shot up. The car explodes.
Oh, right. It does.
And now they're trying to figure out who are they going to find. They know Alexei is important. Joyce is trying to communicate with him. Mm-hmm. It's not working because she doesn't speak Russian. Hopper is barking at everyone.
Yep.
And Joyce and Hopper are just like bickering.
And then they have lots of sex. Just kidding. No, they do not.
No, that's one of the deleted scenes that did not make the cut, apparently. But even if that did happen, it wouldn't happen like right now.
Yeah.
So you gotta, because Murray is the one who really propels that narrative forward. Speaking of Murray, so they're in the woods. They're trying to figure out, like, what are they going to do with this guy? How are we going to communicate with him? I don't remember them saying Murray or saying that they were going to, but they somehow end up there.
Yeah, they knock on his door.
Well, first they go to the 7-Eleven.
To get the Slurpee.
Well, it's actually very funny. Alexei runs away from them, and when they catch up with him, he's like, 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
And so they go inside to the 7-Eleven, and there's a scene where they're all like drinking sodas like hungrily.
Yeah.
And like Alexei's over there like trying to eat out of the Slurpee machine. And they get a bunch of beef jerky, and then they steal Todd's car.
Yes. Rich douchebag Todd.
Rich douchebag Todd.
That is his character name.
License plate says the Todd father.
What does that even mean?
Well, it's like
the Godfather. I
Godfather.
just got it as soon as you said it. Like, I did not get it when I saw it.
Speaking of Todd, douchebag Todd. Douchebag Todd is actually an Atlanta actor who we recently covered if you have been listening to us for a while, we recently covered the Dad's Garage series, The Garage. Yes. And the actor that plays Rich douchebag Todd stars in The Garage.
Yes.
And
Dan Triandiflu.
Which maybe we pronounced his name
sorry
correctly.
if that's
maybe
incorrect.
We didn't. But he is a well-known improviser in town who works over Dad's Garage. He's been improvising there for a long time. He's a great actor, and here he is in all of his glory playing
as the rich douchebag Todd.
Rich douchebag Todd.
Which is a great part.
Oh my God, a great part. I was so happy to see an Atlanta actor get such a fun part.
Yes.
So he's got this amazing convertible.
Yellow
convertible with the Todd father. And he has a whole scene with Hopper where Hopper's like, this guy is very dangerous. We were gonna have to, commandeer your car or confiscate your car or whatever. And so they drive off with that, and that's when they end up going to Murray's house.
Yes,
Murray Bauman.
Okay.
Who we saw last season helping Jonathan and Nancy with their try to get the Barb story out.
Yes.
So that's what he's kind of like a conspiracy theorist.
Yes.
But apparently the only person that Hopper, like, do we know how Hopper knows Murray? I'm trying to recall how we know that. Now that I'm trying to put the pieces together, I'm not really sure how Hopper knows Murray, but he seems to know him somehow.
I don't know.
I mean, Nancy and Jonathan definitely do.
Yeah.
So we knew that Murray was probably going to come back. We assumed he would be back. I didn't expect it to happen this way.
How did you expect it to happen?
Well, I expect because of the connection between the paper. I thought it was going to happen with Jonathan and Nancy, like going back to Murray and enlisting his help and getting the story out, but that's not how that went. I actually like this better. I'm not sure how Hopper knows Murray. I'm not going to think about it too hard.
Maybe he's a well-known in the community conspiracy theorist.
Oh, you know what? I remember now. Murray actually went to Hopper's, he went to the police station and told Hopper a bunch of stuff about, he knew that there was a Russian child. Remember, he thought that whole theory about how 11 was this Russian child who was part of Russian experiments. So Murray had a sense that the Russian experiments were going on. He just had the information wrong.
Yeah.
And so he went to Hopper last season and said, like, I know about this Russian child. And Hopper's like, what child? Because, he's trying to protect 11.
Yeah.
So that's how he knows Murray.
Okay.
That's how he knows. Okay. Now that we've cleared that up, I feel a lot better. So, so now we're at Murray's. And I'm not going to get too more deeply into this because I feel like we've got so much to talk about. But basically, they are trying to get information from Alexei about, like, what is this machine? What does it do? And that's really the whole point of them being at Murray. And Murray's the translator. He's like translating.
He knows Russian conveniently.
Well, it's not. I would say it's convenient because I feel like they already established this last season. It makes sense. Like the fact that he sounded like a crazy nut job saying that Russians were doing experiments in Hawkins. That's what he said last season.
Yeah.
And he sounded like a nut job, but he was right.
Yeah.
He didn't really know what he was talking about, but he was right.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that he would know Russian.
Yeah.
I also want to take a moment to say that if the mullet has a starring role in season 3, if the mullet is like the Academy Award for best costume or hairpiece in season 3, I would say the best supporting actor should go to Jorts. Jorts.
Okay.
I think Jorts are the best supporting actor role in this.
Remember Jorts?
Come on, Murray's Jorts. They're like a thing of glory.
I don't remember
like Murray's jorts. They're like a little bit like so Will is also wearing jorts, but Will's jorts are more like he's wearing like Joyce's mom jeans and like cut off the bottoms and made them into jorts. Yep. But like Murray's jorts are like, they're like a thing of 80s beauty, really. Like I feel like jorts really allow the legs to breathe while still protecting them from the elements. Like you can sit in a hot car. Like you can sit in a hot car and not have your fucking legs burned off if you're wearing jorts.
That's true.
But yet they're still breathable and let in all the cool air that you need. I'm just saying Murray's jorts are impressive.
I do not remember
I
his
don't
jorts.
know how you could not love and honor those jorts and give them the proper respect.
I don't
that they
look
deserve.
at men below the neck. I'm just kidding.
That's fair.
I only look at men below the waist.
But not their jorts.
I know, but not their jorts.
Okay, so that's their situation. So like Alexei tries to run off and then they like get him back with the Slurpee.
Yes.
But not the strawberry.
They get it wrong.
They get it well. Hopper, I assume Hopper says they didn't have cherry, but I feel like Hopper just doesn't give a fuck. Mm-hmm. Like he's like they're out, and we're like, sure. Mm-hmm. Like I think he just saw a red Slurpee, and he was like, that's gonna be good enough.
It's red,
but we all know that strawberry and cherry taste very different.
Okay.
So you're in team. All Slurpee taste the same.
Team who gives a fuck?
I feel like Slurpees have different flavors.
They do. They do have different flavors, but they're all sweet.
So
and they all taste like sweet crap.
Okay, but like I feel like if you're a connoisseur of Slurpees like Alexei is, like you're gonna know the difference.
Okay, a connoisseur of Slurpees.
Yeah, I mean that's what I would say is that he's a connoisseur of Slurpees. Anyway, he tries to run off, and then Hopper does this whole thing where he's like he's not gonna leave, and it turns out yes, like Alexei is afraid of the Russian guys, and so he stays and. I mean, spills all the beans, draws them charts. Like they've got the whole thing. They've got the whole plan. They haven't made the connection yet they don't know about the monster yet, but they do know that the Russians are trying to reopen the gate. So that is what that machine is for. They're trying to reopen the gate. And that's when everybody gets really worried about the kids and wants to reconnect with the kids and find out what's going on with them. So a sixth episode is E Pluribus Unum. Out of many, one. And this is when the carnival kind of enters in.
Yeah.
And we see the mayor kind of overseeing the construction of the
Carrie
carnival.
Elwes. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
I think it's Carrie Elways.
Elways? Okay.
The Terminator shows up, and he's pissed because Hopper has now slipped through his fingers twice. Well, last time he beat the shit out of Hopper and then like left him there.
Yeah.
But this time, Hopper got away.
Yeah.
And the Terminator's like, well, fuck this. Like, I've got other important things to do. I've got to find Sarah Connor. I don't have time for this shit. And so he goes and threatens the mayor inside the Gravitron.
Yeah.
The fucking Gravitron. Have you ever been inside of a Gravitron?
I have not, and I have no interest. No interest.
It's a little terrifying. I mean, I loved the Gravitron when I was a kid. Like, I was all about the Gravitron. I don't think you'd see me inside of one today. But basically, like a Gravitron, it's like when it spins, and then like the centripetal force is that one?
Centripetal?
Centripetal.
Yeah.
It forces you against the sides,
Yes.
and like the seats like kind of lift you up so your feet are off the ground.
And forces the vomit out of your stomach.
Well, it keeps the vomit in your stomach until the ride is over, and then you vomit afterwards.
Okay.
I mean, I never vomited on the Gravitron, but I haven't been on a Gravitron in like 20 years.
Yeah,
I don't think you'd find me on one today.
No.
But it was my favorite ride at the carnival when I was a kid. So, carnival time. Dustin and Erica are still trying to like kind of escape through the vents. Dustin at this point tells Erica that tells Erica that she is actually a nerd.
Yeah.
His criteria being number one, that she's a math whiz because she's able to calculate exactly how far everything is apart under there, which is going to come in handy later. She's a political junkie.
Yes.
And she likes My Little Pony.
Yes. I don't see that as nerdy, My Little Pony. But
Well, she didn't either, but Dustin made a good argument that it is basically a fantasy show.
that's true.
There's like centaurs and wizards and shit.
Okay.
And he's like, Dustin like names off it describes an entire episode, and she's like, why do you like My Little Pony? Why do you know so much about My Little Pony? He's
I'm
like,
a nerd too.
because I'm a fucking nerd. So, do you think My Little Pony is nerdy?
I don't, but now that you say that, maybe.
I mean, he makes up a good point.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not so much that kids liking wizards and stuff is nerdy when you're a kid, like magic and wizards and shit. Maybe it's like when you get a little older.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
I think you can. I think people can
hold
love.
on to it.
Well, I think people can love wizards and magic and shit at any time. But I think historically, as kids,
And wasn't this
drift out
back
of
in the
childhood.
days when being a nerd was a bad thing?
Yes, in the 80s, it was not cool to be a nerd. Now
It's super cool.
it's all
super
the rage.
hot. It's hot and sexy.
hot to be a nerd, I guess.
Because we're all sapiosexuals now.
Are we?
Do you know what that means? It means you're sexually aroused by intelligence.
Ooh, I like that. We all should be sapiosexual.
Yes, we should be.
I mean, why not? Because everybody is beautiful. And we don't have to like things that fall in a certain box. And we should be attracted to the person.
Yep. That's
like
how
that.
I feel.
I like that. So if you're a brony, if you love My Little Pony, which I would say Dustin is clearly a brony.
Yeah.
Like, love what you love,
Yes.
All right, so I think now's a good time to jump back into what's going on with the kids.
Okay.
Griswold family.
Okay.
So they end up back at Hopper's cabin. And 11 is like, she is trying really hard to find where all the flayed went.
Yeah.
But she is like, she cannot find any of them.
She has the black bandana tied around her head. This is so scary. Like this part
Really?
to me.
Yeah.
Where she finds Doesn't she?
That's not yet.
That's
like
not yet?
at
Okay.
the moment, yes, that's coming. But right now, she's just trying to find any of them, and they're not showing themselves. And she just like has a stack of bloody tissues next to her.
Yeah.
And Mike and Max are fighting over whether 11 should be putting her body through this to for their benefit.
Mike says no. Max says yes.
Well, Mike says no because I think he's concerned about like her the nosebleeds and everything.
Yeah.
Which frankly, he's not. I mean, he's bringing up a good point. Like they use her as a radar, and God knows what damage is being done to her body. I mean, her nose bleeds every time she uses those powers.
Yeah.
Which is something you see in Firestarter, Stephen King's Firestarter, that telepathic in that movie gets a bloody nose. And I feel like it's been a while since I've read it. It was not in the movie Carrie, but I believe in the book Carrie, I believe she gets a nosebleed when she uses her powers as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. I used to get nosebleeds all the time, and there's nothing supernatural or unhealthy going on. I just had like. Are
you sure you were not telekinetic?
I'm positive, 100%.
Are you sure though?
I may have. No, I'm just kidding.
Maybe you were moving something that was like out of your peripheral vision.
Maybe it was me trying to move my toxic boyfriend out of my life.
Oh, okay.
This happened during my last relationship. Yeah.
Great. That seems like a good use of a supernatural power. I like it. So they're fighting about it. Max's opinion is basically like she knows her power. She can do what she wants to do. And which is another, like her opinion is that Mike is like trying to control 11. But like, I feel like he's just worried about her, which is good. Like nobody else seems to be concerned. I do think it's a little weird that she bleeds from her nose every time she does this. So I think it's something to be concerned about. But basically, after being pressed by everyone, he says, they're like, why is this such a big deal to you? Like, she needs to go and find them because we need to figure out what to do. And he's like, well, I love her and I can't lose her again.
Yeah.
Can't say it to her face, apparently.
Can't do it, but...
Will not say it to her face.
She walks in right after, but you can't tell if she's...
She heard it.
But you can't tell if she's heard it or not.
That's right. Yeah. Hopper and Joyce are still talking to Alexi. They decide what they're going to do is they've called in the cavalry. Hopper has some special number, which we don't really know, but we presume that Paul Reiser and his group are on the other end of that phone call. He calls up some beleaguered middleman and explains what's going on in Hawkins and is told to wait where he is. Joyce is not happy with that, and she calls back and yells at the guy. Joyce is having no bullshit this season. Joyce is not having any bullshit. I mean, Joyce has, I feel like, always been no bullshit, like where she's like, we are getting this done now. And I feel that. As a mom, you are busy, you've got a lot on your plate, and you don't have time for this shit.
Yeah, no.
You need to send somebody down here right now, young man.
Yeah.
So they decide to go back to town and take action into their own hands because they don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
And they've decided they're going to go in and blow up this machine. Alexei tells them it's impossible. And Hopper is basically like, watch us. And Alexei tells him, I like your courage. You're like a fat Rambo. Which I love. I want a shirt. I really want a shirt with
a fat Rambo.
I just want a shirt with Hopper's face on it that says Fat Rambo.
Oh my gosh.
Can someone make that happen?
Yes.
Okay. This is when we get the monologue. So we're still in episode 7. This is when we get the monologue from Robin about the class. So her and Steve are still there and how she's saying. And at this time, we think that she's talking about having a crush on Steve.
Yeah.
This turns out we're wrong about that.
Yeah.
Which, if you go back and listen to the previous episodes, we, of course, and as I believe we were led to believe, we were convinced that Robin and Steve would end up together.
Yes.
And they do.
They're friends.
In a sense, they end up as friends. They don't end up romantically involved. But in this scene, she's telling Steve all about how he sat in front of her every day. He didn't even know what her name was. He left his bagel crumbs everywhere. And she didn't exist to him.
Yeah.
And they're kind of bonding over how,
and he's like, well, I see you now, or whatever the fuck he says.
Well, he's like, I wish I had paid attention to you because maybe I would have passed that class, and then now I wouldn't be scooping ice cream, and you would be. And she's like, yeah, I would be scooping ice cream with some other schmuck.
Yeah.
Which is because she's still in high school. He's not.
Yes.
Yes, because I was like, damn, that's sad. But I just realized
Yeah.
like he's scooping ice cream, but he's not in high school anymore. She is.
Yeah.
Do you remember Mrs. Click's sophomore history class?
What?
Mrs. Clickety Clackety. That's what us band dweebs called her. It was first period, Tuesdays and Thursdays, so you were always late. And you always had the same breakfast. Bacon, egg, and cheese on a sesame bagel. I sat behind you 2 days a week for a year. Mr. Funny, Mr. Cool, the King of Hawkins High himself. Do you even remember me from that class? Of course you don't. You were a real asshole, you know that?
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Well, that is going to be our stopping point for the discussion on Stranger Things 3 for this episode. Not quite sure where that stopping point is going to be, but jorts.
It'll be good. It'll be good.
Jorts.
And mullet.
So we will, of course, be continuing this discussion on Stranger Things Season 3. We'll be wrapping it up. So if you've got any theories you want to throw at us, at this point we've seen everything, so feel free to throw some theories at us. We did have one little thing that we wanted to plug on this episode, and that is the Women's Comedy Film Festival in Atlanta. Yay! Sarah, what's happening at the Women's Comedy Film Festival in Atlanta?
Our film Dick Pic Professional is going to be playing there, and it was also not nominated for Best Mockumentary.
Yes, it was. Best Mockumentary, which we're excited. We're in a group with a bunch of other awesome films that we're looking forward to seeing. So you can come and see us on Friday, August 16th at 6:30 p.m. There's
Atlanta Brewing Company.
That's right. There's a lot of other really great Atlanta films in the block. You've heard us talk about Pageant Material. That's also going to be playing that night. There's a film Peggy, which I haven't
block?
seen.
So there's a
it's like a big old block.
Oh man,
it's like a long block.
5 hours.
No. It's like it's the same thing. It's like 6:30 to like 9:30 or 10 or whatever. Okay. So it's like I think it's not as many films. Remember there were like a lot of films last time. There's like fewer films. Pageant Material's a feature, so I assume there's going to be some shorts and then the feature and then maybe some more shorts. I'm not really sure. I'm not. If you want to check out the schedule, Pageant Material's great.
Yes.
Excited to be in the lineup with them. Excited to be in the lineup with Peggy. Looking forward to seeing that. You can find more information about that on at the website info.filmfestivalcircuit.com. So look for the Women's Comedy Film Festival in Atlanta. There's a whole scheduled programs. It runs for 3 days. Actually, J&J Productions.
4 days? 15th
You're
through
right.
the 18th.
Sorry, 4 days. So it's Thursday through Sunday. The award ceremony is on Sunday. Also on Sunday, Unemployable, which is J&J Productions. Their film is playing on Sunday. So it's a who's who of Atlanta comedy. Come check it out.
Should be hilarious.
And of course, if you want to follow what's going on with our production company, Critical Crop Top Media, which produces this podcast, the Georgia Made podcast. We also, of course, you can check out our back catalog of the Feminine Mistake podcast. You can check out our YouTube or Vimeo for web series, films, yada, yada, yada. Go check it out. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Critical Crop Top. And of course, you can follow this podcast, the Georgia Made podcast, at Georgia Made Podcast on Facebook and Instagram, and on Twitter at Georgia Made Pod. You can tell us your theories. You can show us your jorts.
You can tell me that I shouldn't have told you about Midsommer.
Tell us what you think about Midsommer. We want to know what you think. And come back. Join us for the rest of this conversation.
Please.
Until then, I am going to snuggle up inside of a soft teddy bear, take a little nap.
Yes. Sounds
gross.
Amazing. And
so gross.
Very gross. Yes.
So
yes.
yucky.